Renaults aren't the most beautifully made cars that money can buy, but they have been working over the last few years to make their cars as safe as humanly possible. So, the new Espace has a 5-star safety rating. The new Megane, unbelievably, has a 5-star safety rating. The new Laguna has a 5-star safety rating. And the new Clio doesn't.
What they've done is taken the old Clio 172 and added 10 more brake horsepower to create the Clio 182. So that's 182 brake horsepower in a car that's small enough to be a slipper. It is hugely fast. 0 to 60 takes 7 seconds and it keeps on going all the way to 140. Of course, as we found with the very first Golf GTI, putting loads of power in a little car does affect its cornering habits. Push, and it turns into a tripod. This looks insane, and that's because this car just is. The whole drivetrain feels as though it's come from a tunnel boring machine. It feels rough and industrial. Then there's the noise, which never really goes away. Even if you put it in 5th gear and slow down to 30 miles an hour, it's still... I think this could probably get wearisome after a while. Trying to control this bucking 3-legged Bronco with blood pouring out of your ears is hard enough, but it's made harder still by the driving position. The steering wheel is far too large, you can't get your feet on the pedals if your shoe size is more than a 9. And then there's the seat itself. You sit bolt upright, and if you move the lever, you go flat on your back. And I think probably, on balance, it's better to go for the bolt upright option. Still, this isn't the end of the world, because the car will almost certainly fall apart before it makes you deaf and mad. The cheapness of this thing beggars belief. I mean, you wouldn't fit carpet like that in a student bedsit. And if you tilt this forward, you can see painted metal, exposed screw heads, and this, the parcel shelf, couldn't have been less flimsy if they'd made it out of tracing paper. Then there's the boot lid, which I think they did make out of tracing paper. In the front, you think, ah, yes, but I've got strips of aluminium. It's as well made as Zurich Airport. But it isn't. It's plastic. And so's this, and so's that. You get the impression this really isn't a quality product. So, badly made, noisy, bit ungainly, uncomfortable, and cheap. Things are not looking good, but they're about to pick up a bit. You see, the Clio feels cheap because it is cheap. It's only 14,700 and it's impossible to go faster than this for less. Even with the Pacamac plastics and dog kennel carpeting, it is good value. And it gets better, because for £200 extra you can have what's called the Cut Pack. This gives you better tyres, better suspension, and these 8-spoke alloy wheels. Inside, lots more is on offer. Air conditioning, CD, sat-nav, cruise control, a trip computer. This then is no stripped-out road rocket. Far from it. It is amazingly comfortable. Even with the firm suspension, it just glides over bumps and potholes. But the best thing about it is its character. The thing is, nobody gets a job in the car industry because they want to make safe cars. So all the time those poor souls at Renault have been beavering away with their crumple zones and their airbags. There's been this pressure building up for them to go berserk and make something that's mad. And you can sense that. You can feel the excitement in this car. It's kind of of like a Motown pop song, really. Tinny, short, quick, uncomplicated. Nothing like Verdi's Requiem. 3 minutes, bish bash bosh, big smile on your face, the end. Yes, it's riddled with faults. Yes, the exhaust system goes through the spare wheel well, so there's no spare wheel. Yes, it's badly made and a bit mental, but none of this matters. For one very good reason. It makes you feel happy.
You know what? In many ways, this car reminds me of that Rover MG ZT260 that we had on last week. Kind of loads of faults, but really, really lovable.
Yeah, you just love it. I know what you mean. And I've thought about that Rover a bit, and I reckon, bear with me, that Rover is like a 14-year-old collie dog. You know, the bit whiffy, bit, you know, old.
Couple of warts.
Deaf.
Yeah, deaf.
Yeah, sits in a corner, faithful old friend.
You couldn't shoot it in the face.
Oh, no. No, you couldn't.
No, exactly. This isn't like that.
No.
If you stick with the dog thing...
Please do.
This would basically jump up at visitors and get mud all down their trousers and dig big holes in the lawn.
It's a little puppy.
It is a puppy car
You'd
dog.
leave it in the garage at night and you'd put down squares of newspaper, and then in the morning there'd be a little pile in the bit that you hadn't put newspaper on.
You couldn't smack it.
No, with his little face.
It would do that ear... It should have 2 ears. Little cockeyed...
As standard, yeah.
And it would go and bury its instruction manual in the garden.
Yeah, and
That's what it would do.
And then you'd open the door to the vicar, and there would be the Clio clamped to his leg. And you couldn't...
I'm
He's a puppy.
sorry about that. It's my Clio. Anyway, obviously it needs to be house-trained, and luckily we have just the man for that. Bring him on. Barbara Stighouse. OK, he's scrabbling off the line. Traction control computer is off, leaving just the raw processing power of the Stig's foot. First bend, tyre squeal as he loads up the right front wheel. Ooh, very, very cleanly out of there. Shocking music pelting into Chicago. That is unbelievably neat. Not just 182 brake horsepower, the Clio also has nearly 150 torque, so it really lugs out of the bends. Hammerhead normally shows up front-wheel drive cars. This one, though, has got special Michelin Exalto tyres. They were actually developed specially for this car, and clearly they are working. This car has the power-to-weight ratio of 168 brake horsepower per tonne, same as a Lotus Elise. This is looking very good. There he is, cocking his little wheel there, waiting for the vicar to come. And across the line in on 1 minute 33.8, which actually is pretty good.
That's not bad.